Hello everybody, it's Eric Friesen. Here's a video of this vintage 20-inch Emerson box fan. I got this from a scrapper out of all people. I have someone that comes and picks up my scrap metal for me, and I always tell them, hey, if you ever get a hold of any fans, I'll take those off your hand, and that's just kind of our trade. I give her scrap metal, she gives me fans. And we're also good friends outside of that type of deal. But this fan was one of the things that she ran across. She did a trash day hunt in a I think a town over in like the next county. Like it was somewhere very far away. But she decided to do that for some reason, and she happened to find this. She told me the guy said that it was running really slow and it was just unneeded. And I'm surprised that they got rid of this because this thing was very clean. When I got it home, I noticed that the blades on it moved freely, but the motor ran really slow. So that mainly meant that it needed the capacitor. At the time, I didn't really have the time to dig into this and get it fixed, so this thing went into storage for about a month straight. Eventually, I got around to taking it apart, and it took a 7 microfarad capacitor out of all things. So I was able to source a 7 microfarad capacitor. I put the new 7 microfarad capacitor in there, and it works fine. And I hope that's not oversized or not, because the old capacitor, I ran it through tests, it only put out like 1 microfarad. Not even under, I was testing it without a load on it, but yeah, I was able to obtain one from work and shove it in there, and it works fine. So here's low speed. It's two speeds and 2 directional with thermostat. This is low, on, in. It's very powerful, but it's also pretty loud. I've had a lot of vintage box fans where they're very powerful, but they're typically quiet, especially the metal blade ones, and this one is no exception. I actually was running this in the bedroom window in my bedroom, but it just ended up becoming unbearable how loud it was, so I ended up stopped using it, and I was using a Lasco Ultra Force instead, which seemed to have the same amount of power as this, maybe slightly less, and all the same features with the exception of running in reverse, but yeah. I also really like the look of this fan. It's also in great cosmetic condition, so no need for restoration. Here's high. And the badge on it looks awesome. I love the badge in the center. I think it just looks really cool. It's very cold out. It's about 48 degrees in Michigan. So. Set it to low and outtake. Turn it off by the thermostat. There's no thermostat pilot light. The blade on here reminds me of a Hunter box fan from, I believe, like the 70s or 60s. The ones that share like the same style frame as the EXLs, but they just have the metal blades. Bearings on this are really good. It was locked up a bit when I got it, and I added a bit of oil to the front bearing, and that actually pretty much was what really set it free, was when I added oil to the front bearing. Guessing the back bearing was okay, because I only added it to the front, and I was going to oil the back, but I decided to spin it up for some reason, and it seemed to work just fine. So I guess that saved me like 4 drops of oil I could have put into the back. Bearings are excellent. There's reverse. And for some reason on the reverse, this thing has a very nice sound to it. I really like how it sounds on reverse a lot, at least compared to the sound of it on intake. That's the main reason why I used it, but being how I had it positioned in the window, I wouldn't really, it was just hard for me to fit the knobs in there. I had it in the window for about 2 weeks straight, actually. I just got it out, I think last week. I brought it in here, and it's now winter time, well, fall, and I don't necessarily need to be running the fan all the time. Here's high. And this thing doesn't mess around. It's one of the more powerful fans I own. It has kind of a groaning sound on high, but it's just because of how the front grill rattles. Okay, it's probably something else then. Never mind. I thought it was the front grill. Shows you how much I don't really have much experience with this fan. Seems like a bearing issue, maybe? Yeah. At least the bearings are good. I'll have to look into that. It seems to be running perfectly fine. The motor on it doesn't get hot somehow. It's an actual Emerson motor, which I don't know why it would not be an Emerson motor, but yet there was Westinghouse box fans, which also happened to be made by Hunter, that had a similar blade set like what I was talking about earlier. It had GE motors in them for some reason, when Westinghouse made a fan motor for them. Yeah, confusing. I think this is the last one. I saw that tat tongue. Yeah. 20-inch Emerson. Good fan. Let me turn off the camera first before I put it away. Keep the breeze.